Hello, everybody. Welcome to Orgasmica, the podcast where we talk all about sexuality, sensuality, and all things healing. And today I have the most special guests. Adam will be mad that I just said that, but I have my sister.
Oh my God. I've been waiting for my turn.
I know. I'm like, whenever she was like, who wants to be on it? Me.
Yes, I will interview you both separately about sexuality and about sex because you both have really interesting stories about sexuality and sex. But today I'm bringing you to talk about this.
Sisters, also known as the Three Sisters.
Also known las tres hermanas, also known as like the tres Schweizer.
Oh my gosh, she never speaks German.
Do your audience members know that you speak German?
Because I don't anymore. But introduce yourselves. Who are you?
Hi, my name is Marta Mendez-Cross, and I am one of the writers, actresses, and producers of Las Tres Sisters, and one of her BFFs.
Oh my God, it's so weird. I am also one of the writer-producers of Las Tres Sisters and one of her BFFs.
Oh my God, go big.
And one of my BFFs.
And one of your BFFs. And I'm Valeria Maldonado, and I'm considering starting to use Jackson. I don't know how I feel.
All right. Well, she's using all the slashes as lashes.
Slash.
We have been in this journey for 9 years together. It's been quite the journey. We wrote this movie. We produced this movie. We act in this movie. There's so many layers to this movie. And now it's out in the world. And it's a little bit crazy that it's out in the world because it's been so long. And there's so many feelings about being out in the world. Because for so long, it was just us having to experience this story. And we would laugh all the time while we were writing. A lot of people, when they asked us like, oh my God, 6 years. We wrote it for 6 years. Oh my God, how did you guys handle it? And then we see all these videos of us laughing our asses off while we were writing in the middle of the night. And we were like doing all these things. And we loved it. We would always say, like, we think it's funny, but we don't know if people are going to think it's funny. And we just went with a lot of things that we really wanted to say. Yeah. And a lot of people have said to us, oh my God, there's so many themes that you guys have written in one of the things. The main theme is family and sisterhood, but there is the theme of Mexico, the theme of immigration, which is very highly important right now, the theme of sexuality, the theme of healing, the theme of forgiveness, the theme of, what other themes?
Sisterhood.
Yeah, sisterhood, love.
Miracles. To your roots, miracles.
Horses.
Falls.
Hot men.
Cristo Fernandez with water being poured on his body.
Marta kissing my husband.
Oh.
All of those things are
Virginia dry humping Gonzalo Garcia Vivanco.
That's right. With the hay, and the horses went wild on that one.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to start with the first thing that I want to talk about. It is not sex yet.
Okay.
No
sex. The first that I want to talk about is healing.
Okay.
Because this podcast is also about healing. And we have a lot of healing moments in the movie, right? Like we have at Temazcales. I love to bringing like ancient things and ancient roots within like healing modalities, the right ones, right? Because then there's the whitewash ones when you go into a spa and like do a Temazcal, but it's like not a Temazcal. Yeah.
I haven't done the spa one, but I've done the real one.
Yeah, you have.
The real one.
So with that being said, I want to ask you guys, what was your experience? I'm going to go with Marta first because she had never done a Temazcal before.
Oh, you had?
I had.
Yeah.
But not as intense. But yes, and also with a shaman.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we wrote at Temazcal in the movie, and you had never experienced a Temazcal before. So before we shot the movie, I was like, you need to go into a Temazcal. Let's explain first what Temazcal is for the people that don't know. A Temazcal is an ancient, what they call it over here is a sweat lodge.
Yeah.
Different what do they call it? Native American cultures also have them, but they have them in teepees. I experienced those as well in North Dakota. They were really beautiful as well. But the ones in Latin America, or North America, Latin America, they can be made of adobe. Is it called adobe?
Stone.
Yeah, like a type of stone.
It looks like an igloo.
It looks like an igloo, but it's supposed to be the womb of a woman. And some of them also have them with fabrics instead of the actual rocks. And basically there's a hole in the middle, and then you have this whole ceremony where they're heating up the stones, and the stones have to be there for many, many, many hours, being in the middle of a fire. And then you go in. You're supposed to go in, ask for permission from your ancestors to go in. You go in, it's a very sacred thing, and then they bring the rocks, which they called abuelitas. And then they bring the beautiful water, because it's about also all the elements. And so then they bring the water, and then they close you off and you're like in the darkness of the darkness.
You can't even see
no,
here.
You can't see anything.
We're scaring people. But you get something good at the end.
You do. And then they pour the water little by little as you're praying, as you're singing, as you're screaming, as you're crying, because the point of it is that you're supposed to die in there and rebirth, like if you were birthing from the womb. And so we wanted to add that because we thought it was beautiful. At first we had it as limpia.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember. First, we had it as a coffee, when they.
Oh my God! Yes.
With where she would read
the coffee grind.
Yeah, the coffee grind.
And then it was a limpia.
A limpia, because we took one of our writers, Yusef de Lara. Yeah. We took them to Mexico, and I had them do a limpia, and he was just like, it's like, what the hell is going on right here? And so we added the limpia, but the limpia was only done on Maria.
Yeah.
And then we ended up changing it for all of them to experience something together. Yeah. And so we landed on the Temazcales.
I think it was like a pass, we did a sister pass.
Yes.
And we were like, okay, how can we see them instead of them having their own experiences? How can we have them all come together? And it was like, okay, this moment could be...
Yeah.
Yeah, and have it be a cathartic moment for everyone.
So how was for you going to the real Temazcal? Because we wrote it first. And so you got to experience it in writing first, because we were telling you what was happening and what was the experience inside of it and all the da-da-da. And then from writing, then you went to it. How was that experience?
I mean, first and foremost, I trust you. So I knew I'd be okay. I hope. I put all my hope in Virginia. I trust her. I was terrified because one of the things that I have been healing from in my life is that I suffer from panic attacks, as you guys have been through that with me. And, in the past we've just danced it out, or I stay on the phone till 3 a.m. with you and the symptom is you can't breathe. And so knowing that you go inside Temazcal and that the air gets thick, and part of it is that it's like you have to slow down your breathing and you have to feel safe inside as the air gets thicker with the heat. And they shut it in with, and for ours it was an actual cloth Temazcal, it wasn't the stone, but
there's no air coming in.
There's no air coming in and out. But I did, you helped guide me. You're like, it's your first one, so you had me sit by the little door when they were bringing in the abuelitas, the stones, and so then you get a little reprieve when they opened the door. So I was like, and so, but it was. I was terrified the night before. I had a hard time sleeping. Again, just part of panic and anxiety is that you worry about getting panic and anxiety.
Yeah.
And but I did. You have to focus internally and spiritually. I didn't have a specific anything that I was going in to clean out or to, release during this spiritual cleansing. But I did, coincidentally, it was really interesting. I felt my grandfather, who I don't think about a lot. Do you remember that?
I'm remembering that now, yeah.
And his name, I called him Tito, is my grandfather from Costa Rica, and he was there. It was very interesting, and maybe it's that I needed masculine energy to hold space for me, or I don't know what it was.
I remember also a man next to you who was very scared and voiced him being very scared. He was like, I'm really scared, and you were like, thank you for saying that, because I feel better. Because there's some there's some really intense ones where men are like, bawling their eyes out.
Yeah,
even the
up.
strongest man.
Yeah.
Even sometimes they can't even handle it. So it is very intense.
Well, and a lot of people, when they see our film, the Temazcales scene, they think we're taking drugs.
Yes,
They don't.
yes.
Because it's so intense, and we did hype it within the movie because it's a comedy as well, but because you have to respect the shaman who's holding the space, and you have to speak, you have to ask permission
to speak.
And so in our movie we're definitely not asking permission to speak, but it was so it felt like it was. I feel like in our movie it's a beautiful depiction of a Temazcal because we had real shamans inside, but the experience I had was much more spiritual and calm. And I've only done one.
And long, and it was 4 hours.
It was 4 hours.
It was 4 hours.
I've had the ones that I've been screaming and yelling. On
Okay,
the
so
floor.
I did. Sorry, I misspeak because you.
No. But that one was, and I remember because they running the three or four at the same time.
Yeah.
And then you get to sort of pick, and we went to the lighter one.
Yeah.
And I've gone, and it doesn't matter because what a Temazcal does is like what happens inside. How are you feeling inside is what sort of comes out, because I have done one where I was like, oh, I got this, da, 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 da. And then like it just destroys me because I feel like I'm okay, I'm fine, and like it just confronts me with so much. And there was a point that one with the same shaman that we did, Aldo,
in
Guadalajara, who he was like, where are you going? I'm like, I need to get out. He's like, no, where are you going?
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to get out. And he's like, lay down. And he had me in a fetal possession. And he's like, we're all going to sing to her. And everybody sang to me. And he's like, we all have you. We all got you. And they started just singing. I was just like on a fetal position, crying my eyes out. And then he's like, if after this do you want to leave, then you can leave. But like, stay for the medicine. And that's one of the things that we wanted to add in the movie, that it's like, and there's a specific line that I love that we wrote.
Ahí está la medicina.
El dolor, ¿qué dice?
Del dolor no se huye.
El dolor se atraviesa. Yeah, so like the pain, you don't run away from pain. You go through the pain in order to get it. And that's what it is, right? It's like when pain starts happening, we panic and like we wanna leave. We wanna walk away. We wanna just be like, no, I can't do this. And that was my experience. One of the Temazcales that I did, he's like, do not run away from it. It is painful. It is panicky. Stay. We will hold you. After you gotten the medicine, then you can decide if you want to leave. And after, I didn't want to leave because I just felt like so held.
Yeah.
And you reminded me that over the years too. You learn these lessons. See, I'm very lucky because I have one of my best friends who goes through lots of spiritual journeys, and then I just get the cliff notes.
She's like, so what did you learn? Great.
But you have said that to me so many times, and now I'm not afraid to feel something that is heavy or hard, or to go through pain, because I know that it's actually something that will help me in my life. And so I have your voice in my head all the time when I'm going
through the pain. And Gloria came with us, the one that played the chamana. She also came with us to the experience of ceremony. So it was really special. So how was it for you?
I'm trying to remember, as I'm listening to,
because you were going through.
I was going
a hard
through
time.
a lot. So I also remember being scared, even though I'd done a Temazcal. It had been when I was in my teens, and I didn't fully remember. I do remember the chaos, and I did remember the heat. And for those that don't know, like, the heat is so intense that you have to put your head in between your legs so that you can breathe, or lay down, but then some places don't want you to lay down.
Also, if you move quick, you burn yourself. So you have to like go very slowly, because the heat will you just have to be very slow.
And also, it's full of people. So you don't have much space to move. And you have people around you going through things. I remember there was one guy that was throwing up. I remember that.
Yeah. And we decided to add... Can I say that?
Yeah.
We decided to add that into the movie because of that, didn't we?
I have to give Cristo credit for that.
Oh, yeah, Cristo was.
Oh, Cristo.
That was
the one
Cristo.
that added that.
Well, but he did ask us.
Yes.
He did ask us, because he had an experience at Temazcal. So he did ask us, what happens inside of here? And then we told him, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like, okay, I want to throw up.
Yeah. And it was great. But yeah, my experience, I was definitely, we were a few weeks away from shooting the movie. And at the same time, my mom had pancreatic cancer at the time. And so I didn't know kind of what we're talking about like facing, and I didn't know what was going to come up. Also, this is a little bit of a side note, but like a week or two before, we've done mushrooms.
Not me, Mom.
This is the only time I've ever
Not me, Mom, she says.
I did not do much.
She did not.
No, she's the good girl.
I was with the kids.
She's the good girl because before she was the bad girl.
She was definitely the bad girl.
I am officially 14 years sober.
Oh my God, really?
Wow.
14 years?
Wow,
That's a big
that's
milestone.
beautiful.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Oh my God.
So I'd only done mushrooms once that time. Also trusting Virginia very, very much with her shamans. We trust her.
Who also was in the movie.
Who was also in the movie, Cesar.
He did the ceremony.
He did the ceremony.
I've
the
done
mushroom
several ceremonies with him. I did my ayahuasca ceremony with him. I trust him a lot. And he's been in the podcast, actually. He's like on early on episodes where we talk about plant medicines.
Yeah, so we'd already done that. So in a way, I had faced some things, but then the Temazcal, I'm trying to remember what I faced. I remember the fear also, even though I don't really have panic attacks. I was scared of like the heat and all of that. And what I remember more is the freedom that came. And a lot of it came through singing, because we had also done a lot of singing in the mushroom ceremony, and that was just like very alleviating. And then I also remember, I definitely asked for my mom to like, for people to chant about her, and I remember, I don't know if you guys remember this, but I said something about my daughter, and I was talking more about like a future one day daughter. But then the shaman was like, she's beautiful and she's something, but thinking that I was actually pregnant. And so as we left, because then you leave and you have to leave in a certain order, and you also have a ritual to get out of the Temazcal.
Where you hug everybody.
You hug
Sweaty.
everybody. You touch
Sweaty
the
hugs.
ground to like, ground yourself again. And so I remember that part, and, me being like, oh, and I don't know if that is a real daughter or if even the daughter was the movie, because we were about to,
To shoot.
start shooting the
And
movie.
she is beautiful.
She is so beautiful.
I mean, look at her. so pretty.
Wait. Show this because it's pretty inside too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God, the DVD. I love it.
It's so cool. Okay.
So we did that. And then a couple of weeks later, we reenacted with different characters the Temazcal. And we brought Cesar, who was the shaman that we've done plant medicine with. And then we brought Gloria, who was also a shaman, but she's also an actress. And then we decided to go all in. But it was not hot. You cannot have heat with cameras like that. They would break. So it was actually pretty cold that day. And we got into the Temazcal. And
Wait, what did we do before the Temazcal?
oh, we
You're
did
gonna tell?
Olimpia. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
We did Olimpia. The whole crew. We'll tell them why they were in Olimpia.
Okay, so there was a shaman that runs that Temazcal, that is in charge of protecting that Temazcal, and he told us that a lot of people that go and shoot there, it doesn't go well. Because they're not respecting the space, and so their camera breaks, something sets on fire, the footage gets deleted, and so he was, because people come in and mock or just don't care.
Don't take it seriously.
And so we were lucky enough that we had Cesar, we had Gloria, but we also had Pana. So Paulina Encinas, who's our wardrobe stylist, or head of wardrobe department. She's also a shaman. And so it was so beautiful. We had to, we were like an hour behind schedule because we lined up every single person in the crew and in the cast. And everyone got Olimpia by Gloria and by Pana. And it was one of the most magical moments, seeing just everyone going in, like, yes. Like,
There were
let's
crew
do
members
this.
like crying.
Yeah,
and
there were
just
crew
through the
members
link,
crying.
yeah.
They did it to the camera too. To the degree that they can because of smoke and stuff. But it was so special.
It was so amazing. And so that kind of prepared us. Like, it became sacred immediately.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't become like, oh, we're shooting a scene, ha ha ha, we're like joking around. We were just like in it. And I remember Cristo was the first one to shoot, and he just went all fucking out. Cristo was just like,
amazing.
crying, and he's like, "Can I throw up?" And we were like, "What?" And then they gave him arroz con leche, and they're like, "Here, throw this up." And it was like really intense. And the thing is, like, I think especially for you, a lot happened in that. I felt like the actual real Temazcal was like the preparation for the fake Temazcal. For you specifically.
I wasn't as nervous, for sure.
Right.
So you were more open?
I was more open. I think the limpia and the spiritual ceremony helped tremendously to get us in that space. But I think as artists too, you know, part of our craft is to learn how to open your heart and unblock and get your mind to slow down and just think the thoughts of what's happening in the scene. And in the other Temazcal, I was just nervous and all sorts of thoughts. And so, and then the context of the scene, we utilized my wreck that I had with my sister many years ago that left her handicapped, and I was the driver. So there's a lot of guilt there, and we utilized that storyline within our storyline. And
the crazy thing is that we are the ones that were fighting about
and
that.
I'm not, Maria's character is not involved in that
And that,
conversation.
so you got
I'm
to
on the
hear.
ground, like, like suffering, you know, and you two, it was almost like you were performing it for me in a way, is what it felt like. And when I'm crying in the scene, because it's a very comedic scene, but it was all of us, we were feeling heightened emotions. And when I was crying and I was just letting go of, I kept thinking in my head, I'm so sorry, Michelle. I'm so sorry to my sister, and I love you so much. And I was just letting go a lot of the guilt that I had around it, and forgiving myself. But so when we did finish, after we were done filming, I absolutely felt like something had been released.
Yeah.
Because I had a specific intention in that scene, and I was more chaotic in our...
Well, and Gloria and Cesar both said, they were like, oh, this felt like a real Temazcal.
Oh, right,
without the heat.
Yeah.
But we just kind of brought in, you know, like all that intention. And the thing is that when we shot that, nobody was laughing. Like, it was just not a funny scene.
We thought it was super dramatic.
It was just like super
wow,
intense.
This is going to be so intense for our audience members.
It was like really intense, except for the moco. Then the rest of it, I just thought it was really...
Moco means booger.
Marta had a booger hanging from her nose. The whole, like, she was crying so hard. She was really actually crying so hard. And it was her close up. And I'm next to her. And I just kept seeing, like, this booger. Like... But it like runs. People think it's special effects. It's like so good that this, like, you know, and she's moving and he's like, and the moco
It's a he.
It's a he. And moco.
It's one of my, el moco is one of my special skills in my resume as an actor. I can snot when I cry.
But it's a very strong fucking snot.
I was about to say, like, there must be something in your diet.
Yeah.
That makes the moco. I mean, how do you produce such strong mocos?
You were moving your head, and this was
it would not give up.
No, I have always been that way. It's been one of my things as an actor. I'm like, man, I wish I cried more beautifully. And so then I follow actors who cry with everything, and they also have a lot of mocos, and so I can
Claire
feel
Danes.
better about my
Claire Danes, who we referenced.
Viola Davis. There's a lot.
Claire
of
Danes is
wonderful...
not a nice crier. That's why we put her in the movie, because she's an ugly crier.
Are you saying I'm an ugly crier?
Were you a funny crier?
Well, but I've had, like, for example, I remember going in for an audition, and I'm crying so hard in the audition, and there's a chair in front of me I'm holding on to, and my vocal goes down and connects to the chair.
No!
That's what it did. And it's following me as I'm trying to move, and I'm like, oh,
that's what it did.
Oh my God.
So this is a talent. That's what happened.
It's intense.
I remember it connecting to the ground and then following you.
It just,
like,
yes.
ow.
But then also you laid on top of it, and now you had it on your cheek. You had it on your cheek.
Yes.
So besides that part, it was like a really serious moment. And I remember even leaving the Temazcal, we sat down and we were just like crying.
Yeah, at lunch.
And it was like release, and then Cesar and Gloria were like, wow, this was like really intense. It just like felt like a real Temazcal. Then in editing, it became really funny.
Yeah.
Because of the way we cut it. But it was not.
The magic of editing.
The magic of editing. It can become on anything.
We have the scenes. Maybe I can and see
Oh my
if
God,
I
it
can
would
cut
be
it as a
great.
drama
Yeah,
and
yeah.
see which one.
Put
I
some
love
like
the comedy.
dramatic music in there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Oh, we used to have like a drone sound in there.
Yeah,
Oh my
that's
God.
right, that's right.
So many versions.
So we did that part of the healing, and we feel so grateful that also we did ask permission to that specific tribe in Guadalajara, because we basically use, because every kind of place has their own way that they do temazcales, and we kind of really went very specific with theirs, and we did ask permission to do so, and they gave it to us, and then they were very excited when I brought them in. They're like, the actresses, because they love it, and they love that their customs are in our movie, because we treated it with so much respect. And yes, people think that we're high, but no, it's just intense.
People think that we're drinking mezcal, and it's actually not the mezcal, it's the mascal. So it doesn't have anything to do with mezcal.
Yeah, no.
Nothing
at all. Okay, now I want to move on to sex.
Oh, okay. Can I say something though that's been on my mind since we started? That is not sex.
Yes.
Before we
I
go
was
there,
gonna go to EMDR, but yes,
course.
no EMDR, AMR.
Oh yes, we are doing EMDR.
Oh, okay. Yes.
No, I just want to acknowledge something, because so this whole movie started with Virginia and I having a glass of wine on her couch in this apartment. She has now changed the couch. It was not
Different
that
couch.
but it was in the same place. And so as I'm looking at you, because I have the couch behind you, I just keep thinking of like, 9 years ago, we were just there talking about, and it was about healing.
It was about healing.
And
we would sit on that window smoking and drinking wine.
Yes. Very healthy ways of coping.
No more smoking.
No more smoking.
No more smoking.
And then Marta came in 8 months pregnant, and I have a picture of us sitting here. With Marta giving us notes.
Oh, I remember Marta before she was pregnant, or before she knew she was pregnant, leaving a rehearsal that we were having for the short, and her, getting into this like super sexy outfit to go see Ryan play at Sofitel,
and I didn't know
or
I was
something.
pregnant.
Maybe you did, or you weren't like something.
We didn't spend almost 9 months rehearsing.
We did. So, because we were rewriting.
We were rewriting, and then you came in.
You came in and you would help us.
Yeah.
But you came in not super pregnant yet.
No.
You came in like a couple months before we started. Because then we did the Indiegogo campaign. We did like a lot of the things.
This is what happens after you have children.
No.
Your brain is like, I can't remember.
You were
time
like
and
that
space.
before you had children.
I'm like that, and I don't have children.
Okay, can we talk about sex
now we can talk about sex.
Can we talk about sex?
Let's talk about sex.
Okay, let's talk about sex, because that has been a big theme when we have released this movie into the world. People have feelings about sex.
I had feelings.
You had feelings about sex.
I had to look at some of the things while we were writing, as well as
my parents have feelings.
Yes, your parents have big
About the sex
feelings.
scenes. But the community, the Latino community, has feelings about having sex, and not just having sex, but also talking about sex.
And women talking about sex.
So let's first say, why did we decide to do that?
I think you should respond to that.
Okay. Why did we decide to do that?
I'll ask you. Why did you decide to do that?
Okay. Many reasons. Well, first off, the scene that people go like, oh my God, most of the time is the talking about sex, not necessarily the watching the sex, but like the talking about sex. They makes them also more uncomfortable than watching sex.
Yeah,
right.
And that I found super interesting. And the reason why we added it is because that was an actual real conversation that we were having. Like a lot of parts of the movie we add in this, and we still do. Marta has a whole notes on her phone, which is like, what did you say? Repeat it. And like she will write it, and it will go somewhere. We don't know where, but it will go somewhere at some point. And we were in the back of a cab, and we were a little drunk, and Marta was writing like this conversation that we were having.
Yeah.
And when I was like 19, I started getting into Sex and the City. And like, you know, back in the 90s, it was like the revolutionary show because they're like women talking about sex.
Yeah.
And this was the 90s. And so I thought we kind of were past it.
Well, now it's revolutionary because it's older women talking about sex.
Right.
It's like, oh my
And
But no, it's any women talking about sex.
maybe it's also because it's our Latino community too,
Yeah.
that we're talking about sex, and especially sisters. Maybe because they were friends.
Yeah.
It was also like this sense of like, oh, they're friends, but like sisters don't talk like this.
Yeah.
Women don't talk like this, and people will say to us, or reviewers will be like, well, women don't talk like that, and we would be like, well,
yes,
we
we
just
do.
kind of did because it just literally is a conversation that we
Well,
actually just had.
I mean, we had to find it within ourselves that it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, when we were writing, we brought on a consultant, and you know, we were asking if Sophia's character, played by you, the beautiful Virginia Novello, if she was, you know, if we needed, her journey was to start off having a lot of sex, and then she's not going to have as much sex again.
Because
So
she
it's
has reformed.
Because she
is a reformed
She's had a
woman.
character arc where she's like, what, you know, completely healed in her personality, and the writing consultant was the one that said, excuse me,
Yeah.
like, why are you writing her
Which,
that
by the way, she's from Spain, and so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
She
I
was,
didn't remember that.
she was from Spain, and so it makes a lot of sense because their view, especially as women, of sex is absolutely completely
Yeah.
different than our Latino communities. I don't know if we would have gotten that if it would have been somebody from a different culture.
Yeah.
Like we said, the movie guides us because we're supposed to have this conversation. And she told us to write Sophia as a man. And when we did that, all of a sudden she was allowed to do all of these things. And that wouldn't be a natural arc for a male character. So then, you know, we added more. And we made sure that her journey was...
We didn't punish her.
Yeah, she didn't get punished for having sex.
She just stopped drinking because her problem was not sex. And I've said this about her before. Is her problem is not sex, or that she enjoys sex, or she loves having a good time. Her problem is the reason why she's having the sex. The reason why she's having sex is to avoid her life. It's to avoid her feelings. And she has sex when she's drinking, and the specific scenes that we're having. And so she's still like super free, and I feel like she's still having sex, but from a different space.
Yeah.
From a space of like, okay, I like it now, you know, but I'm not avoiding my life and avoiding because we can use anything to avoid life. We can use drinking, exercise, you know, like sex, anything is neutral.
Yeah.
And then we use it as something to prevent feeling a certain way. So she's running away from her life.
Yeah.
And her responsibilities and her feelings toward her sisters. So she uses that against it. And when she gets super uncomfortable, when she goes into the horses, because she's having a real, like, very hard conversation with Maria.
Yeah.
And then she can't take it. And she's like, I'm going to die, sex now, you know?
Yeah, party.
And so it's like, that is her problem. Her problem is not that she's having sex. And we had that where she was like, no alcohol, no men.
Yeah.
And then we were like, why? And to me, that was like extremely mind blowing that we did that.
Yeah.
Because so many of the things that we wrote so consciously to like, men are not going to save us.
Yeah.
And like, we like going against what we thought was the norm.
What's the name of the test? Do you remember the name of the test?
The Bechtel test.
Bechtel.
The Bechtel test to make sure that you're writing from a place where women are empowered and fighting against stereotypes that are already there in our media. But it feels like, too, it's hard as writers because we have been influenced our entire lives from what we've been seeing, so we're going to regurgitate that.
Yeah, it's wild.
So it's wild. It's
I was shocked when she was like, why are you punishing her? I was like, we are? What the fuck? And I was like, we were just trying to find her arc, right? And so her arc is like, she starts with something and then she ends with something different. And so we took away what she started with, and that's the only thing how we did it. But then we were like, holy fuck, this is what we did to her. Like, this is wild.
Yeah.
And then one thing that really also changed, that has to do with women and how we related to women, is for a long time, the script was about
A guy.
The
conflict between Sofia and Lucia. But when we're talking a long time, out of the 6 years that we wrote, for 5.5 maybe, that didn't change until a couple months before we shot. So for 5.5 years, yeah. I can't remember if it was also. No, it was also with the same script. Script.
No,
doctor.
that was. You know
Or
what? That was with Paz.
That was with Paz.
Yeah.
That was Paz's note.
Paz Leon. She's an amazing director from Costa Rica. Who was on board for the project, and
she gives so many beautiful notes.
So much beautiful notes. And so, yeah, that was... So the whole thing that we created on this couch and that went into the short film was two sisters fighting about a man, essentially. And we did that for years. Also, it was based on reality. And so it...
Yeah, and I mean, things happen. And we were having a lot of problems with, like... How do we make my character likable after doing something like that? We kept being like, okay, well, let's make her funny. Maybe she's just like likable, even if she like does this horrific thing. Well, if she's funny,
that's something that in general that we're always fighting, and we had to do that during the edit too. It's like, oh well, if Maria has a moco coming down, that's just going to make people disgusted.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to see women do comedy in certain ways. It's hard to see women do most things.
That's why Bridesmaids is such an amazing fucking movie. Because they were like, we're going to shit in our pants. Yeah. We're going to have sex.
I'm going to shit in bridesmaids.
We're going to be like fucking like ridiculous and punch cookies and take puppies. And like, we're just going to do it all.
I love it. And we got told recently, which is like one of the biggest compliments, that they're also reminded our movie reminds them of Joyride.
Yes.
Which is also
my
that.
God, I was so happy to get that.
And it's also women being able to be free in comedy and women of color. So which is another level, right?
Yeah.
Asian women that also have their culture that also tends to not be very open about
more conservative.
More conservative.
Oh my God, they went all out. That was so funny. They are so funny and hilarious.
I think I was headed to Mexico. Or no, it was to London.
Yes, I also saw it at that.
Right,
I also saw it. Yeah, I also
on.
saw it out there. Yeah.
But they had blurred out certain things for you guys on your flight, and I got to see the full bushy. The full bushy mushy. The full pussy. And so a lot of the reviews and a lot of people are like, oh my goodness, right? And then through the process, we had to fight for these scenes. Yeah.
There were a couple of scenes like the tampon scene where they were like, no, you cannot have that. You can't have a tampon. I'm like, we're not showing the tampon.
Yeah. Can I interrupt you real quick just for the people that haven't seen the movie? Because the way we're talking about it, I would imagine this is an HBO
show.
Full nudity.
Sex of the City. No.
And all of this discussion is happening from a movie where there is no nudity.
No.
There is no graphic sex scenes.
No.
There is no detail. Most of the sexual activity is happening just from seeing like a reaction up here. That is it. So it's so interesting that it causes such a polemica response when it's actually you're not actually seeing things. It's more about what you were saying, what we're talking about. But because now you're like, oh, I can't see the movie. No. It's literally this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to talk about it because we're an Orgasmica, and hey, this is where we talk about sex.
Yeah.
And because it's so interesting, because we started writing this movie, I was not in this journey, and I started kind of like becoming into this place of talking about sexuality and talking about, and so I feel like I grew with this movie, and I grew with Sophia, and I grew with like, damn fucking right we're gonna talk about sex, and damn fucking right we're gonna do this, and we're gonna show we're gonna show like him pulling her tampon out because I think that's fucking hot.
Well, I mean, we don't even show it.
We don't show the tampon.
We just insinuate it.
Yes, and there are more shows now. Yeah. It's so funny because I've been so outspoken about this tampon thing that people now call me like, I just saw a movie where they were having period sex. This is so exciting. And they show blood. And I was like, hell yeah. I saw one movie. I can't remember what the name of it is. It's actually kind of like thriller-ish, but it starts with like a couple like going into the bathroom, like they're drunk and from a wedding, and they're like in the bathroom of the party, and they like start making out, and then he goes down on her, and when he comes up, he has like blood, but he starts like going up her dress, and so her dress has all blood on it, and my reaction was like, fuck yes. And she sees him, she makes out with him, and she's like, wait, you have blood all over you. He's like, oh shit.
Wait, what accent was that?
That doesn't matter.
Oh,
and
shit.
it's like, it was like, so I was like, hell yeah, it is part of it. And my thought is, we don't scratch or we don't go, ew. We see blood all the time on screen.
All the time.
Like for everything, like gore movies, there's like tons of blood, buckets of blood everywhere. You know, war movies, buckets of blood. The kids are playing with video games and there's like blood everywhere. And nobody bats a fucking eye when it's somebody killing another human being and there's blood all over the fucking place. But oh wait, don't let it be a woman's period, something that happens every fucking month, because oh, what an issue. Oh no, this is disgusting. Oh no, this is a problem, you know? And that's why I fought for this scene, because to me, it doesn't make any sense. What have we accept as a culture within the movie industry of what is acceptable to show and what we don't even bat an eye twice when we kill somebody, you know, when we see somebody getting killed, even in movies like The Fast and the Furious, right? When they're like, the cars go up and there's like an accident over there of explosion of like 20 cars. And we are not even thinking of those people that died over there. Could have been me. You know what I mean? It's just like
go,
keep running. You know, it's like, what are we saying with this culture? And then when we have conversation about sex, or we have women talking about sex, or we have women showing their periods and having sex with periods, or anything that is women related, then people have a problem with it. And I just wanted to have this conversation to make people think before you just go, ew, no, I don't. Why? Like, why are you having that reaction and you're not having that reaction with like Fast and the Furious or a war movie or like whatever other movie that brings blood, or if you like scary films or the Mass Chainsaw Massacre or all of those things, you're not having the reaction of ew. And why is that? I want people to think about that and then comment from a different space and really make it because that's also what movies bring, and that was also what we wanted to bring into the table. We wanted to have people to have conversations.
Yeah, and also, I mean, to talk about period sex. So many of us have period sex because it's also one of the times during the month where the woman is the most sensitive down there. And for me, I get incredibly turned on when I'm on my period. So to be like, oh no, you can't have sex then, it's actually going against bodies, and it's actually going against desire. And even if we go further with it, I mean, it's a very safe time to have sex in terms of pregnancy.
Yeah. Although I have a friend that got pregnant. I always say that she got pregnant while she was in her period. Yes. And after that, I was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
We'll never let him come inside of me. I'm in my period. Okay, well, okay, got it.
Yes. But it's so delicious. And so why is that become a thing of like that we can't do?
And also something that happens every month, you know, in our bodies. Like we are used to seeing blood as women, you know, every month we go like, oh, I have my period, and we see every time we go to the bathroom, we see it, we touch it, it gets in our hands, we wash our hands. It's like part of our literally monthly life, right? But then when we see it represented on a screen, it just becomes something different, and people have a different reaction to it.
Well, and in my world, now that I have two boys, one of the things that in my mom group, for example, we make sure that we have these conversations with our sons, that they understand what periods are, that they understand that that it's a natural thing and normal thing, and expose them to it, because I don't have a daughter. So then, you know, there's even like a period book one of my mom friends wrote, you know, and so there's like questions about periods, and just to normalize it in general, that it's I mean, because there's religious cultures that when the woman's on her period, that she's unclean.
They shunned her over there,
and then she has to go and dip into holy water, and and I respect all cultures and people's beliefs, but words are powerful. When you say a woman's unclean, you know, it's just, it makes you feel shame. You know?
And then we have talked about this, and specifically you have voiced several times that after people's reactions, it also make you sometimes like question if we did the right thing.
Well, for me, it's not whether we did the right thing. I'm thinking from like a marketing and distribution standpoint, and getting more people to be able to see the film. And you know, I straddle the line of like being able to make a film that feels so authentic to me and exciting to me, and the line of like what's more marketable and a family movie, 'cause especially, you know, as we've had these conversations, that with Amazon, for example, and they said, Latinos in the research have come to films as like a multi-generational experience. So you have the kids and you have grandma and everyone in between. So I'm like, oh, maybe we could have gotten more if we didn't talk about the sex, or we, made it more family and PG. But it's been more so on the marketing side of things. Less on like my own shame and I don't want people to see that I made this. It's been, it's hard because you want to like make something authentic as storytellers and artists that, this was made purely out of our own joy, out of our own hangs and conversations and what we would laugh at, and it's just I feel that the key to being able to stay in this industry is to continue to write things that you really enjoy. And we get sucked into the marketing aspect of it. Like, well, I also want to make money, which of course is part of it. But, we are making money with this film, but we're also pioneers. We're showing a very conservative community. We've had mainly from Latinos, the ones that have said like, well, there's a lot of sex. Just like there was a teacher at my son's school who was so excited to see the film, and she's been following the journey, and she's been saying, I can't wait to see it. And she got really sick during our theatrical release, never got to see it. She finally saw it the other week, and I said to her, I was like, hey, you said you were going to watch the movie this week. She's like, I was like, oh, did you see it? She's like, I did. I was like, what did you think? She goes, there was a lot of sex in there. Anyways, good to see you.
Wow.
So people get so uncomfortable. And you remember that the movie reviewer?
Yes.
Who gave us 3 stars.
And who ended up talking to us in person.
Yeah.
Well, we asked her, we were like, you know what? Part of our as artists and us as making this film is to hopefully influence biases in our female communities and communities. And so she agreed to doing an interview with us and talking about what made her so uncomfortable. And she did say, hey, it's just something I'm working through.
Yeah.
And I love that comment of hers. Well, she specifically said why. Because I did ask her, and she was like a little bit like, don't hate me. And I'm like, no, I love other opinions. Listen, our movie doesn't have to be for everybody.
Right.
We did it based on our experience. One of the things that we're very proud of is that we love this movie. I don't know how many times we have seen this movie.
Gosh.
Oh, so many, probably over 300 times.
Oh,
and
way more.
In the movie theaters, we would go in and we would watch, and we love watching it in the theaters. And it's just, and every time I watch it, I'm like, you know what? I love this movie. Like, we made a movie that we love, and we get highly entertained even after like the 500 time that we have seen it. And so that's something that I'm very proud of. And so I people can have opinions about it, and I don't feel like I have to defend it necessarily, but I like think it a little bit more of like, what does it say about the culture, the business, the industry, us, the women, like I wanted to explore more. And I asked her why does she get uncomfortable by sex scenes? And she said, well, it's just such an intimate act. Like, I don't feel like it should be put anywhere. Like, I just don't think sex scenes should exist. And I kept that comment. I didn't say anything. And that comment kept rolling in my head for a while, for a long time. And then I came up with my own answer to that.
Yeah.
Which is, well, that is our job.
Yeah.
Because I don't think sex is more intimate than a woman crying on the floor.
I was about to say,
because she lost her son.
Yeah.
And she is in like, and people win Oscars for those scenes, when they're like distraught in the shower, crying their eyes out because they lost their kid, right? That's an intimate moment that we don't get to see other people necessarily, and that the camera exists there, and that the place where you put the camera exists there, so you get an insight into an intimate moment of humanity.
Yeah.
That's why movies are what they are, because our job is to insert the camera into intimate moments, people fighting, people getting divorces, people saying horrific things, people being alone and crying and having feelings and dancing in their underwear. All of those are intimate moments. And so to me, the sex is the same. It's another intimate moment. And one could say, well, sex is sacred. Well, I would say all those things are sacred.
Yeah.
I would say all the grief is sacred. The crying is sacred. The dancing in the underwear is sacred. The fighting with the person that you love and you're about to break each other's heart is sacred. And we get to put a camera on them. Now, there's sex for the sake of sex.
Yeah.
I don't think we did that.
No, and I think there's like I remember when I moved to LA and my first reps were asking me, in terms of nudity and in terms of that, what was I willing to do? And I remember what I said was like, it's not so much about like nudity or not nudity, which by the way, I've never done nudity, not because I was against it, but it was more like what I don't want is like something like Entourage, where I am in my underwear just for the pleasure, just to like walk around and for the pleasure of men to be like, oh yeah. And there's nothing behind it. Yeah. Like for that, I'm not willing to be in that spot because it's more about objectifying women than it is about an intimate act.
For sure. And it's about women being naked.
Yes. And we weren't objectifying ourselves in this movie. No. It was more about expressing the way a woman can feel her sexuality.
And, the introduction of Sophia can be a little bit like jarring, just because we introduce her mid-orgasm. Yeah. But
Did I tell you that my dad thought that was me?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, my God.
That's so funny.
He's like, wow, that you should have warned me.
My dad would have loved to thought that it was not me.
I know. I saw my sex scene sitting next to my dad.
Yeah, no. I hid. Do you guys remember? Like I hid behind. I was like, I can't.
You were hiding.
Just because I know. I prepared them for it for so many years. And then still afterwards. But my mom then watched it 2 more times. And then she was like, oh, it's actually not that bad. Yeah. I think it's just like the shock of it. And of course, they're my parents. Of course, they're going to have those feelings and thoughts about it. I would expect them to. Yeah. But what was I saying?
The introduction of Sophia.
And so it can be jarring, but it's because we wanted to show like who she is. She's just not having I love the way we cut it because she's having so many faces within it. She's like, and then she's like to the left, to the right, to the, like she knows her body. She knows her body. She's telling him what to do. Yes. And then she gets herself into these situations where she fucks herself over fucking somebody. Yeah. And so it's funny. And then the second sex scene of hers is the tampon, which, it's like we wanted to make it a statement of like, you can have sex with it, like, period sex. And then we added, that was not on the script, but then we added your sex scene. Yeah. Because we needed like a romantic Marta's idea, because we needed like a romantic moment between the love story. Yeah. And so I don't feel like it's just because. Yeah. It's not, we're not naked and we're not objectifying ourselves. Yeah. We specifically added the sex scenes for a specific reason and also for a specific message. Yeah. And I understand people don't like seeing it and it's uncomfortable. And part also of making movies is making people think and making people uncomfortable too.
And I feel like it's also because of the tone of the film. People feel like, wait, am I allowed to have both of these in this tone? Yeah. Where it's very sweet and heartwarming and family and sisterhood, even though they're fighting and it's comedy, but it's a pilgrimage and it's abuela, and then you're like, but then these are layered and complicated characters that part of that is that you might see intimate moments, not just them crying. Yeah. Again, that intimacy, we're going to put the intimacy about sex, but the people have, the campfire scene,
which is when we're talking about
which sex. Which is a lot longer than what we put in the film.
Oh yeah,
we had to fight to keep it in because I think both editors wanted to take some of it, take it out, and so then I feel like like we said before, the talking about it. They wanted to see a scene, maybe those who were uncomfortable within themselves about talking about sex, they wanted to see us talk about like childhood memories. Yeah. But instead we're like, no, this is what we do when, when we're just connecting and having fun, we might talk about sex.
And the thing is, because these sisters don't talk to each other a lot, sometimes it's easier to talk about something like sex. So like, because it can be funny and giggly.
Yeah.
They're not going to talk about deep stuff in that scene.
No, they're not ready.
They're not going to talk about their childhood. They don't want to be with each other, really, because they don't want to be confronted with their childhood, their memories, their existence. And so something that happens is like, either we talk about the weather, which is like fucking boring as fuck. We're not going to put it in our movie, or we just bring it in and be like, yes, let's talk about sex, because also it's a way that they connect with one another without really going deep into feelings.
Yeah.
You know, and so we couldn't have talked about anything else. It was at the beginning of their journey, before they even went deep to anything. They're not going to talk about, unless we wanted to have them fighting.
Yeah.
They were not going to talk about anything about their story, their history, their mom, because they all have different relationships with mom and dad. And like, they were not going to do that, you know?
Also, can I say they did go somewhere deep with it. And this is something that I get told, I'm sure you get told after people watch it, was when Maria's character talks about bisexuality. And it is so like off the cuff, natural. It is not a big deal. It is not like, I've seen recently like some older shows where somebody comes out as bisexual and it's this whole thing and
taboo.
And we celebrate it. We're like, yeah.
We're just like, oh my God.
You start humping.
Get it
She starts
together.
humping her.
I don't know. It just came out of me.
Get it. Go.
Get it. I still don't know what I said in there. We had the hardest time
We
figuring it
tried
out.
doing the ADR.
Oh yeah, when we were trying to do
I was
the
like,
ADR,
what did you say? And I was like, I
listening
don't
over and over.
know what I said in
I
there.
think you said, get it.
But then there's something
Get
else.
it, girl.
Get it together. Yeah.
But I've had people come up to me. I think I told you guys in Cucalores. You guys weren't there in
Oh,
North
no,
Carolina.
yeah.
And I had this actress come up to me who was bisexual, and she was like, I had never seen in a movie that being talked about in such a natural way with such levity. She was like, I feel so seen. It felt amazing for it to not be like something that was like, you know, how dare you?
Are you bisexual?
And so even in the fun, there can be healing for other people that are watching.
Yes.
People
You know
that
who I
identify.
did think an amazing job with that as well? Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
Oh, Schitt's Creek, yeah.
They did
great.
so well, because I reminded me of that scene where he has sex with her and then they go wine shopping and she's like, well, I thought you like white wine. And he's like, yes, but I also like red wine. And sometimes rosé.
Yeah.
Sometimes a mix of them three. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. You know, it's like the way his sexuality was not like a big point forward. And that's something that we wanted to do too, is like our, Latinidad or whatever was not like, or sexuality or sex was not something that we talk about. We tease each other with it. Like Lucia throws a lot of like rocks at Sofia with like, well, you know, she what is it?
But there's like a jumping, like
jump on that. She jumps on them.
She jumps on strangers
all the time. So she would like throw a couple, but like sisters would do, but not in like, they never sat her down and it's like, you are being a whore. Like, what the fuck is your problem?
It's not that kind of film.
No. And so we have fun with it, and there's a lot of levity with it, but it also has some depth in it.
Well, I mean, we start off the conversation talking about what miracle we are walking for.
Yeah.
And in order to relate, Sophia's not like, oh, are you going to talk about mom? Are you going to, of course, because you don't want to talk about mom.
She will never.
You say, are you going to walk for a big hard
day? I mean, she has to say that. She will never just go like, okay, since I'm walking this thing, you know, we're going to walk with it. Like, what is the miracle? And she's not going to go like, I need abundance in my life. Like, she's not going to fucking say that. You know, she's going to avoid. And we did exactly what she would do, right? She will avoid by sex.
Yeah.
And so she starts just going like,
and
let's
picking on
talk
her
about
sister.
sex,
Yeah.
you know?
And the
like,
sisters go along with it, as sisters do. They go, digress into this other conversation.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the miracle, because Maria doesn't want to talk about the miracle.
No. This is all like, yes, deep, but also they all are avoiding what's going on in between them. And this is the only moment where they get to like not the only, and up to that point where they are actually enjoying each other a little bit, because they are not gonna go deep. And one of the things that we put in there is like, this has to be a scene. There has to be a scene where you see them have fun.
Yeah.
You see them having fun together, so you understand that even though their relationship is broken, that this, when they get to be together in certain points, they really liked each other.
Yeah.
They like really enjoy each other.
Yeah.
The thing is, there's so much baggage and so much stuff that they're not allowing, because they don't talk about it. They don't go through the pain to get to the other side.
Yeah.
And so there's so much stuff, but in reality, they really like each other.
Yeah, they have fun.
They have fun, and we get to see like a tiny bit of moment where they have fun. And the only
also-
way of seeing it is by having levity sex talk.
And it was great. I think this is another note we got with the script. Somebody at some point that they're having fun without alcohol, because in one of our first drafts, every time there was a fun scene,
That's right. We were drinking.
that.
we were drinking, or like Maria took Molly. Like it was always had to do.
Oh my God, that's
you remember?
right.
Oh my God,
Jumping
that's
on the
funny.
back of motorcycles. That is not in the film.
Yes. And it was also great to be like, well, they can have that without being about a party. And
You
it's
can
just,
have it over beans and corn
Yeah.
around a fire.
Around the fire.
it
Beans
was so
and corn.
disgusting. Do you guys remember the freaking food we were having? It
Jesus
was
Christ. Thanks of it. It was so fucking cold too. Thank God we had the fire, but
Oh, I
it was
know.
like so
I felt
cold.
bad for the crew, but they were laughing. We were entertaining them.
We entertained them a lot during a lot of this movie.
We did.
All right, guys. Well, this is part one of probably other parts, but I just kind of wanted to bring the sex conversation into the sex podcast.
I mean,
Because it's an important conversation to have, and because we're hearing a lot about it, and because our community, and this is a podcast with mainly Latino audience, women listen to it, about 87% of them. And so it's important for us to have these conversations, because it makes you guys also think about about you. And if you have not seen it, well, if you don't live in the US, you can't yet, but it will soon come to you at many points. And maybe we will do a giveaway for Mexico where we do something.
we should let's just say it right now. We'll give this away.
For what? And what do they do to get it?
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have this prepared.
We'll do a giveaway later.
We will put in the caption or something what you need
to
to do.
Yes, we'll do a giveaway something. And I hope you guys enjoy our sisterhood moment. There will be many more to come. I will have you both separately to talk about different things that are not necessarily movie related. But thank you for being so open to talk about sex and sexuality and all things healing, Temazcales, and your experience, and just being really honest about your life. Because it helps so many people. And thank you for gracing this Orgasmica space. And I'm going to ask you the last question that I ask my guests, because you are the guest here.
Okay.
What is an orgasmic life to you?
Well, this isn't fair because you are my teacher.
Yes. We're like, I already know.
know the answer because I've been learning from you. Just finding pleasure in everything.
Why did you steal my response?
And we can have the same response. Let's say it together. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Finding pleasure in everything.
Oh, wow. That sounded like robots. Finding pleasure in everything. Love it. Can we do a little bit like of goodbye?
Yeah.
Oh,
ASMR. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you for listening to us.
It was amazing. Rent our movie.
Have so much fun. Like we're
Where can they find us, Marta?
They'll need a miracle to get through. Oh, the 3 sisters if you don't speak Spanish. Oh, wow.
Follow at Las Tres Sisters Movie and all the social medias.
is this?
I don't know if that's sexy or if that's really disgusting.
I love it.
Wait. She's like a squirrel.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you next episode. It's in Spanish, so tune in if you speak Spanish. If not, wait until 15 days from now.